Welcome everyone. This is montywhyte. No edits, no cuts, off the cuff. This is my real reaction to the Ryan Cohen being selected as CEO, and Matt Furlong being kicked out. And I know this is like a little bit later than usual, and I know I missed last week's video, but I was trying to let that sink in, like what actually happened like that quarter. But if you are here for the TLDR, if you're a by the books evaluation person, like in terms of books, like the company overall is gonna be going through a over it's clearly overevaluated. If you're looking at it in terms of evaluation of a trader or any kind of, not even a trader, just like empirically based on his balance sheet, pure balance sheet alone, um it looks like it's going to be trending negatively. Even in my estimates, right? In terms of quarters, right? This is all every single Q2 quarter results. Um, in the past 5 years, right? And I think it's obviously gonna go hit in the negative as well. Um, but I'm not here about for the price action that's involved in this company. I'm here for the long term. So people who are just trading in short term, expecting a negative quarter, that's my news to you guys. For everyone else, as you can see here, I did buy last week because I had this ordered every single week. So I bought on the 20th, and I bought on the yesterday as well, or today. Yesterday, because I'm recording this like at midnight. Of course, I was looking at other things. So overall, um, my reaction to Ryan Cohen is not too surprising. I was surprised, but it wasn't out of out of my mind. Like him coming back into going to workforce, I think he literally took some time off. Like you know, he was getting touching up with touching up with his family and everything. Took to that Chewy took most of his life, right? So I'm not gonna tinfoil you too much. Like the dude's back to work, so that's essentially it. Is it bullish? Is it bearish? It doesn't really matter because I'm looking at it operationally speaking. I think this is going forward, going to be good. Knowing him as a visionary, right? Like as a CEO, right? When you look at CEOs, every single company CEO is usually the visionary. They don't really talk to you about like the current conditions, right? If you want to know what's actually happening at GME right now, you should be looking forward to hearing what the CFO has to say, right? The CFO is the one that's usually the person with the books and tells you everything, like what's actually happening. So overall, uh, after looking into researching every single balance sheet, like I have searched and combed through all the balance sheets, every single one of these ones. I checked in all five of them, and all I can really say, and also the recent quarter as well, the quarter one, and also the annual fiscal year 2022. I don't think people are considering what's actually happening in terms of employment as well, because they also had a decrease in their headcount with their staffing, right? And they're not just like any other staffing too. Matt Furlong is one of those staff members that were terminated. And then so many other senior positions as well. Because I do have a LinkedIn spreadsheet that I'm working with another associate in regards to finding who left the company recently. And there's quite a lot of senior positions. But I don't think people are counting the how big of an impact partnerships are. Um, with partnerships, right? The company can be or doesn't have to be obligated to tell you what is going on with the partnership, right? Simply because it's two businesses agreeing to do something together, but they don't have to tell each other the full thing, or GameStop doesn't have to tell the whole deal what's happening with a partnership, right? So partnerships, overall, reporting partnerships. I should have had this open just to make sure you guys are up to speed. Reporting partnership. Uh, Statement of partnership income. So publicly traded tax treatment investors. So the tax advisor. So like again, I'm not gonna look too much on this, but like I do remember recalling that um with publicly traded companies, they are not obligated, if I remember correctly. I'll double check next week. They're not obligated to talk about their partnerships and what's happening in the partnerships. They'll tell you like how much they partnered up with, right? Because the recent announcement of TELUS is actually very exciting, because it's just they're a part of a different chain, and then that's another thing I'll talk about next week too. Is like I've been researching. That's why I was gone too. I was researching into how this NFT marketplace gonna fit into the business model and how they're gonna make revenue off of it. So, uh, right now, if you are a again, I think the most important thing I want to talk about today is mainly the mental mindset, the mental in regarding to investing into this company, investing, trading, or seeing this short-term play, right? And obviously the fourth tier is the diamond handers, which I basically sit on, and many other people I know that just sit on, because again, I actually invested initially. I'll admit as much. Originally was the MOAS, but as time grows by, I get as I do more DD and do more research, and I am very happy with my purchasing into GameStop, because like literally uh the idea of owning a potential Steam equivalent platform is actually very exciting. And another good thing about this too is that because of GameStop being the first, in my eyes, when successfully, because again we have to we're gonna wait for that date to happen, is when they successfully integrate this new technology into their business model. They're gonna have first mover advantage. They're gonna have patents. Just like Tesla, how they got first mover advantage with the electric cars. They were the leading car maker for electric, right? So just like same thing with the technology, there's gonna be companies out there that will be interested into the marketplace on how to integrate that technology into their business model. Because remember, the whole point of this huge tech stack that they're doing is to unironically becoming their own bank, unironically, right? Or the creditor, because when you're doing transfers between, like, let's say a Visa card or MasterCard, there's a fee cost involved, right? And the thing about with blockchain technology is they're they are lower prices, lower fees than compared to the traditional payment processing, right? Because it's legacy versus new, right? So we're gonna be in an age where a lot of this technology is gonna be adopted, and it's gonna happen, right? Whether you like it or not, it's just gonna happen. Uh, so, and the reason why I'm saying that's gonna happen is because Tell Us, like I said, with partnership with GameStop, um, there's also another game called Gods Unchained. It's a NFT based game, and they just recently got launched on the Epic Game Store. And Epic Game Store has noted that this is an NFT game. So there is games coming out in the following this year, next year, and the year after. I'm expecting a better quality games coming up, and I will also play those games next week's video, not this week. I'm pretty tired. Got a lot of work to do, because one of my colleagues was off for this week. But anyways, enough of my personal life. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of optimism that's required to hold on to GameStop, because I have to really make this as a big disclaimer. This is not financial advice at all, or this entire video is about financial advice in general. But we are very early. To be fair, we are very early in terms of investing into this company, and because you have to consider development time, right? And they've been very smart about how they're going to do this development through partnerships, actually. That reduces quite a lot of the R&D time, and it also reduces quite a lot of uh, the the overhead cost involving to create this business, right? So, and the reason why I talk about this is because they had fired some programmers and NFT specialists on LinkedIn, and we'll talk about that next week as well. Because I think they were just there for advisement how to integrate it into their store. So I'm very excited to see Player where that's gonna lead. And I'm also very excited for the marketplace. Those are two different things, by the way. Player is more focused on like the game platform like Steam, and the marketplace is a peer-to-peer platform, making transactions about NFTs, right? So that's peer-to-peer, just like the Steam store marketplace. Steam also has a marketplace, right? The CS:GO marketplace. I made a lot of money doing this, and I have essentially a money glitch for Steam. I can buy whatever game I want. I can buy this a Valve kit actually. I can buy a not is it called a Valve kit? I can't remember. You know what I'm talking about, like the VR headset thing. I can buy that whole thing because I have enough CS:GO cases to buy that at this point. So I can see this adoption uh might go quicker because Steam has already introduced this concept. And once people start realizing it, the difference between Steam marketplace versus the GameStop marketplace is because the GameStop marketplace you can actually cash out, whereas the Steam marketplace you can't cash out. You're actually stuck with the ecosystem. It's an internal ecosystem, right? So I spent $60 of my own dollars, and that grew up over like $2,000 at this point on the marketplace. But that took like 5 or 8 years to get that to happen, right? Because again, it's one of those things where I got a bunch of CS:GO boxes for like a penny or so, bought thousands of them, and then diamond hand the crap out of it for like, let's see, I bought it in 2000 and I think 14 or 15, so like a little bit under 10 years, right? I diamond the crap out of my hands on those boxes that were literally pennies at that time, and now it grew into um I think it's like $1.60 now per box or something like that. I can't remember, or $2. I lost track. I don't really keep track because supply and demand. Time will tell itself, and I'll start selling them whenever I feel like selling them. And that's another thing I want to talk about too is stock price, right? Stock price is again determined by two people on the table, right? Me as a seller and them as a buyer, right? So when people are always panicking about stock price, it gets really annoying on my nerves because simply because people always talk about, oh, it's down 50, oh, down blah 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 blah. Okay, let's zoom out by a large margin then. Let's if you care about stock price all the time, right? Like, okay, this so if we look at overall, right, like all time highs, quite literally 850% if you're like invested back all the way since inception, right? But I think what's more relevant is like 5 years, in the last 5 years. Of course there's a lot of people that bought here, like including myself, so of course I'm down, right? But at the same time I'm also optimistic of their new revenue way of doing things, right? Because I want to make this a really strong disclaimer. I am grateful for news companies that talk about GameStop in a bad light, good light, doesn't matter. With that being in mind, right, this actually increases their value globally in terms of partnerships. Because if you think about it, even though people make fun of it all the time or praising it all the time or whatever the news is, this kind of publicity is actually very important for a brand to be known in public. Now in regards of like, preferably they want to be in a good light. And honestly, if a marketer were to actually look at the company as a whole, they are a good company, right? They have their known brand, which is basically trade in your games and we'll pay you back for them, right? Just like the NFTs, you're gonna keep those NFTs and you can trade it between amongst each other, right? And it works with their brand very nicely because you're gonna use their wallet as a facilitator. They actually don't make money off of you doing that, from what I understand. The wallet itself will not make transactions money out of it. The money they're gonna make from it is gonna be the player and the marketplace, not between peer-to-peer trading, right? Because that's something that's between agreed two parties, right? But when it comes to the marketplace, and let's just say you want to use the marketplace as visibility, just like I said, it's like a marketing campaign, right? So if you're like Nike, for example, you can partner up with with GameStop, and you can start making your own minted NFTs, and then you can make a one in one purchase. Like the thing about why GameStop can utilize the tokens a little bit better than other companies right now is because they can actually tie in, because they have the technology stack implemented. They can tie in any kind of purchase they have in real life, and then they'll be like, hey, not only we're gonna give you this shirt, but here, take this NFT, right? And then again, it's one of those things where, well, time will tell which NFT will be more valuable than others, because by the end of the day, it's up to the person, up to the buyer, how much they're willing to buy it for, and the seller when they want to, how much they're willing to sell it for, right? Just like my CS:GO boxes, right? My CS:GO box came from 4 cents, 6 cents a piece, and now there's people willing to pay for it for $2.40, right? Time will tell, just like NFTs. And I think it's going to be more massively adopted because, at least for GameStop customers, right? The only reason why I say that is because there's going to be a point where people are going to no longer pay from their Visas or MasterCards because it's much cheaper in terms of fees, transaction fees, right? If you're shopping quite a lot from GameStop, you might as well just use the wallet, right? You can avoid paying MasterCard or Visa like a fee every time you make a purchase. And same thing with the company itself, right? They're saving themselves they're actually saving fees from themselves to pay out to Visa and MasterCard, because remember, those fees are applied for every single transaction, right? And then they have to pay for those fees. It goes from their balance. Um, payment processing, right? So I'm rambling for a while now. But overall, TLDR, essentially, my buy rating, just hold. If you're a short-term person, or you're planning, and then if you're doing a trading thing, if you're a trader, just stick to options. And as for long-term and diamond hands, it's just a keep buy, just just do dollar cost averaging in. I don't see this company going anywhere. Unlike some out there, there's some that are going to be bankrupt pretty soon. I think there's one coming to be bankrupt either tomorrow, declaring bankruptcy either tomorrow or Thursday. I think there's a few coming up that I've been watching, just for entertainment reasons. But overall, um, in terms of valuation as a value investor, it is definitely overvalued with the current business model, transparent business model, right? There's a lot of things that are hidden because of these partnerships. And I'll double cross again. I'll double back on the partnership situation, because again, I believe they are not obligated to tell like what's the whole spiel about what's going on between the partnerships, or they'll have to talk about what's their partnership going on, right? So, um, yeah, that's basically it for my review on GameStop and Ryan Cohen being taking the helm, which is not a big surprise. It is a surprise, but not a big surprise. And overall, this is just a nice slow grind, and I think we're going to be in this slow grind for the next until, I honestly think, until quarter 3 really. We're finishing up, closing in on quarter 2. Reporting's in another 5 weeks or so. So yeah, I think the company's just gonna keep focusing on their footprint. Because right now they have 14,000 stores ready to be expired for leases. So we'll see how much of that's gonna be cut down. Considering with also high interest rates this year, right? There's 2 more interest rates in the United States. So we'll see how many stores are going to cut down, right? So overall, and the thing is, like, it's also not a good thing. There's a good and bad when you're removing footprint, because if you're removing footprint, right, there's got to be a way of increasing your sales, because less storefront, which means you need to increase your inventory, which means you need a warehouse somewhere that has all the inventory to meet the demand of the customer, and also make sure your online e-commerce shopping experience is also really good. So overall, I don't mind. I'm in a good place. I'm pretty happy. I don't really need to talk too much about GameStop because there isn't a whole lot Besides maybe learning about the technology, we'll touch base on next week, and that's the main thing I'm going to be focusing on for a little while. Actually, is focusing on their virtual business model, because it is very, very complex. Um, to the day-to-day normal person, right? It's the NFTs we're talking about, new technology. We have no idea what the hell. Well, we know what it is. It's just like we just need to have it adopted to the masses, right? It's one of those things that it will eventually be adopted, because the reason why I'm saying this is because there's a lot of tie-ins that GameStop can do for the customer incentive compared to other companies for this kind of technology, right? And just like the day where Apple released their iPhone. I know I'm comparing this with the iPhone, but back in the day, 2008 or 2009 or roughly, or maybe it's 2011, I can't remember, roughly around that time, the first iteration of the iPhone, everyone was laughing, including Microsoft executives, right? They actually openly laugh about it. There's a clip on a conference from Microsoft laughing at the price of $500, and $500 is really expensive for a phone back in the day. Remember this, okay? Flip phones were like $80. I remember my flip phone from Motorola. Pretty good phone, man. I loved it. I was very reluctant to give up my Motorola until, like, 4 years later, after I'm like, okay, I'll get a touch. And I think the big difference, what converted me into a touch phone, is the App Store. So just like the App Store, the GameStop store, compared to other stores, is that it's going to be more similar to Steam, because they're not biased towards a particular brand like Square Enix or the Epic Games or EA. They can actually have a huge advantage by partnering up with these companies instead, actually. Um, so with that being said, yeah, I'm rambling on. I love the company, love the stock, not financial advice. Well, back to back to the grind. Oh, wait. How do I turn this off?